Hi everyone, Dr. Erik here from Straight Talk with Dr. Erik, and I'm sitting here on a Friday with my mentee,
Cameron.
All right, we'll call it Mentee Friday Conversations, okay? And where are we sitting? We're sitting in the Alan B. Levan Center of Innovation, right? It's an incredible place. And Cameron, a few days ago, I actually had the opportunity to yet again meet, shake the hand, and say hello to Mr. Levan, Alan Levan. And he actually wrote a book, which I read probably 7-8 months ago, and it's right over here. I'll show it to the audience. It's called Seeing Around the Corners, right? And I want to read some passages together and kind of do a dissection of what they mean. So I'm going to have you read from here. Let me make it to here. Read that for our audience.
In my life and in business, my mantra has always been next and move on. Significant lessons I've learned very early on from my father. We don't spend too much time stewing in our losses or even celebrating our wins. There's always more to do, experience, and accomplish.
So, very interesting passage. And I've actually seen this in multiple successful people. I read another book called Be My Guest by Conrad Hilton. And he said, don't dwell on the past. Why is that important? I'll tell you. Very often people, what they do is they're like, oh, this bad thing happened in my life. And all they do is focus on that bad thing. They talk about it, they yell about it, they scream about it. Everything is wrong. What are they doing? They're spending so much time on the past, which they cannot change. You can't change it anymore. It happened. Sorry. Move on. And that's on the bad things that happened. The other thing that he says is even on the wins, if you win and you're like, yay, I accomplished my goals, move on. Great. Celebrate for a minute. Amazing. What's next? And that's an important lesson for people to learn. Don't dwell. I have people who I know, close friends of mine, acquaintances, that the reason they're not successful is when I'm talking about the future, I'm talking about what's next, they're still being upset and bitter about the past. And that ain't going to help you. So that's lesson number 1. There's another lesson over here. 1 second. This is awesome too. Read the thing that it's in yellow.
Anticipating different scenarios of outcome is an important discipline that I've trained myself to expect from myself.
What does that mean to you? What do you think? By the way, I heard Jamie Dimon, because I follow really people who I consider very smart. And Jamie Dimon is very smart, right? He's the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. Pretty big bank. And he said the same thing. Anticipate different outcomes and be prepared for them. How would you use that practically?
To anticipate different outcomes. Don't be fixated on one thing. Be versatile. So
it's a little different though. It's a little different. Let me kind of explain to you how I understand what Mr. Levan and guys like JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon. I'm going to go to you right now, and I'm going to be like, look, I'm going to do a deal with you. Now, I want to pitch you a thing like this, one way. I'm pitching you an idea. I'm not just going to anticipate that you're going to say yes. I'm going to anticipate that you're going to say no. I'm going to anticipate that you're going to say maybe, and I'm going to anticipate that you're going to say yes. And for each of those specific tracts, I'm going to be ready for you. So if I say, hey, I'm selling you this product. Hey, Cameron, how are you? Great. Look, I think you should definitely get this product. You said yes, I have to anticipate, okay, where do I go from there? You say no, I have to figure out, okay, how am I going to respond? And then when you say no, I have to anticipate what different reasons you're going to say no for. Why are you saying no? And I have to anticipate the answers for those no's. So that's what he means by anticipating different scenarios of outcomes is an important discipline that I've trained, keyword, I've trained myself to expect from myself, right? That's incredible. Now let's see. Read the first one. Read the first one and highlight it. Let's highlight it.
I firmly believe we are responsible for our own destiny.
What is a quote I often say?
The harder you work, the luckier you get.
By the way, he says that in his book too. And there's other people who I know who I've read book and I've spoken to some really successful people. They all say that quote. So he said, I firmly believe that we are responsible for our own destiny. Something that I learned from a mentor of mine, which changed my life. It literally changed the way that I look at the world. Many people, you know how we talk about people who blame the past? There's also people who blame other things for their failure and their inefficiencies. It's President Trump. It's President Biden. It's Obama. It's my state. It's my wife. It's my kids. It's my boss. It's my parents. They are the reason that I'm not successful. That's why I just can't do well in my life. But in reality, if you ask yourself, well, what's the real reason why you are not successful? What is it?
That you haven't worked hard enough. You haven't worked hard enough.
That you haven't. You already understand me from. You see, we got close. You're already understanding that you're looking at the mic. That you are the reason. And one of my mentors said, there's a list, and people list all these different things and people that are responsible. But there's one specific individual that's missing from that list. And it's who? It's you. Yeah. It's me. So at the end of the day, Cameron, if I'm trying to do something and I'm not successful at it, I'm not blaming nobody. It is me. I'm the responsible party for that. That's a lesson you got to wake up and go to sleep with. So I like that. And I this is a little long, but I want you to read it because it has a lot of wisdom in it.
Luck, for me, comes from reading, listening, and watching the news. It comes from talking to people. It comes from being a lifelong student of everything. My ears and mind are always open to ideas and opportunities that others don't see or are not prepared to execute or take the risk. I am prepared to act on my concerns or seize the opportunities when they present themselves. That's what makes me lucky. In the final analysis, luck is earned. The adage my wife, Susie, always uses all the time is when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah, and you know, Alan Levan's wife, Susie, passed away in May of last year, and he was very, very close to her. And I know that she passed away, so our condolences to his family. Yes. But if you analyze what it says over here, luck comes from me reading. So, okay, I'm going to go to sleep a little wiser than I was when I woke up in the morning. That's a Charlie Munger quote, right? Listening. So I'm going to listen to different people and take their opinions. I'm going to watch the news. Hey, there's a new regulation out there. Hey, there's something new out there. I'm going to be there. I just came back from Tallahassee, and I met with legislators. And I have to give a big shout out to Bio Florida, Mark Glickman, Tara, Lori, Jessica, Samantha, the whole team, right? And we went with Bio Florida, had an incredible day at the Capitol. And we were at the Capitol with senators, and it was an event, and it was incredible. We were just learning from each other. And I was watching the news, right, in the making. It comes from talking to people. And look what he says over here. My ears and mind are always open to ideas and opportunities that others don't see or are not prepared to execute. So either the others don't see the ideas, or people see the ideas, but they're just not prepared to execute on them. And vision without execution is hallucination. Thomas Edison. Vision without execution is hallucination.
I like that.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Oh, good for you. Very nice. Like Borat says, very nice. Right? But you're going to do it, but did you do it? And he says over here, I am prepared to act on my concerns. What does that mean? I am prepared to act on my concerns. I've looked around the corners. That's why the name of the book is Seeing Around the Corners. I've looked around the corners, and I know what's going to happen next, and I am prepared for every possible outcome with a response. Make sense?
Yes.
So, and he says, luck is earned. Again, the same repeating theme. The harder I work, the luckier that I get. And so that is the other thing. Now, let's find something else here. There's so much in this book. I really, really think, I want you to read this.
To a large degree, my success is from outworking the competition. Most often, I work hard for my own self-satisfaction and desire for self-accomplishment. It was never about the money. It has always been about the challenge. When I was younger, up to the age of 65, my daily routine was to work until midnight or 1 a.m. After having dinner with the children and putting them to bed. I did this to catch up on the day's work and prepare for tomorrow. I've always had multiple projects going on at the same time.
So there's a lot to unpack here as well. Look at how crazy this is. Like, honestly, this stuff, when I read it, it gives me so much motivation to, that's why they say proximity is power, right? Who you're next to or who you learn from, that's power. So he says, to a large degree, my success is from outworking the competition. Bloomberg, by the way, said the same thing, Michael Bloomberg. He said, I'm not smarter than you, I'm not stronger than you, but I sure hell will work a lot harder than you, and I'll beat you. Right? And that's really the attitude. I'm not smarter than anyone else. Not stronger, but I'm going to outwork you. Then he says over here, look at this. When I was younger, up to the age of 65, my daily routine was to work until midnight or 1 a.m. And I read his book. He wakes up like 5 a.m. Right? So 1 a.m. working. What did I tell you about this place? I have a family, thank God, and may I always have it. I love them. No, never changed that. But if I didn't have kids and I was younger, what would I do? What did I tell you I would do?
You told me you'd sleep right on this sofa here.
Yeah. I love this place, the Alan Levan Innovation Center. I love it. And I feel so inspired. I would sleep here for 3-4 hours, and I would just go back to work. And by the way, Elon Musk did the same thing. Again, nothing comes to you because you're entitled to receive it. There's no entitlement. There is meritocracy. Meritocracy. What does meritocracy mean? Do you know?
No.
Meritocracy means that you will receive something based on your merit only. If you deserve it, you'll get it. And how do you deserve it? By outworking the competition, by outworking everybody, by doing you, not looking at the competition. You're doing you. And then he said, I did this to catch up on the day's work and prepare for tomorrow. And he said over here that after having dinner with the children. Now that I really want to highlight. In life, there's nothing that comes without sacrifices. Okay? Everything in life, there is an opportunity cost to. I'm sitting here today with you. I could be right now sitting in a hospital with a CEO. I could be sitting with my kids. There's an opportunity cost to this time. You're sitting here with me. You could be with your dad. You could be with your girlfriend. There's an opportunity cost. So what he says here, and in life I've seen, nothing comes without sacrifice. So in my home, every night, unless I'm traveling, every night, even if I come home at 9 p.m., I will have dinner with my kids. My kids will munch a little bit, so they don't get hungry, waiting for daddy at 9 p.m. But we will have a full table, and I will sit. I have 6 kids, thank God Almighty, a beautiful wife. And I would sit, and I do sit, and say, hey, how's your day? What's going on? We talk business. We talk politics. Look, same thing over here. After having dinner with the children. Because if you don't do that, and you do sleep here, when you do have a family, you will become successful in business, no doubt. But you will lose your family. There's nothing in life that comes without sacrifice. So I don't want to sacrifice that. So for me, I would rather work till 1 a.m. like I do now, like Mr. Levan did, than lose my kids. So that's an important lesson for some of you guys who are entrepreneurs. Don't sacrifice that. That's super important, family and kids. And so, let's see. Maybe we'll do one more. Let me find. This is a good one. I think this is. I want you to read this quote from Calvin Coolidge. It starts with, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence." Powerful quote.
Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarding genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Mm-hmm. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent.
So what does that mean to you? What does he say over here? Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. You're talented. Who cares? If you're not persistent and you got a talent, that doesn't matter. If you're a genius, but you're not persistent and you're not pushing, ain't gonna happen. If you got all the education in the world, you're such an educated guy, but you're not persistent, you're not gonna do it. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent, right? Alone. I remember, I'm not gonna say the name or the specialty because the individual will know. But I had a friend who was with me in residency. He was a good kid, but he wasn't like very, very bright from a medical. He was a resident, but it wasn't, he was okay. And he wanted to go into a specialty. Now, again, this kid was a good kid, but he wasn't like really like right there. Average, maybe sub-average knowledge-wise. But he wanted a specific residency, and he kept on going and going, and he got declined, and he found one way and the other way. Lo and behold, today, that guy is that specialist. He got that specialty. We'll call it cardiology, for example. It wasn't his talent. It wasn't his genius. It wasn't his education. He became that specialist because he was just pure persistence. So, I think these lessons are important. Learning these lessons from people who have lived a life and accomplished things, it's like you're modeling. Don't reinvent the wheel. There's a formula for success. And books like Made in America by Sam Walton from Walmart, Grinding It Out by Ray A. Kroc, right? These books, you're having conversations with people who passed away. And it costs $5 to buy that old book that's all yellow or a Kindle, right? And you're having a conversation with a giant. And he's telling you his secret formula. Why wouldn't you do it? Right? Think about the opportunity cost of that. So I'm glad we had the discussion. Any takeaway words? Any wrapping up words?
It's just funny how in the beginning of the mentorship, you started off with that quote, and the harder you work, the luckier you get. It's funny how in a lot of things, even in some quotes of this book, I'm realizing that's coming back to me. So I got to focus more on being more persistent, because it will definitely get you far in life. And I've seen it from many successful people and people you've showed me to, whether it's a YouTube podcast or an individual. They are very persistent individuals, and that will get you very far in life.
And tell me, without giving away names of people who you've reached out to since we've started working together as a mentor-mentee, some of the growth and opportunities that you've seen and what things you've done differently, both people who you reached out to and what you did with your social media. Just let the audience know as far as some of your accomplishments.
Yeah, so I revamped, some critical areas of like my LinkedIn, for example, and it has definitely had a positive effect. I've reached out to more higher level individuals and various fields and industries, and they've gotten back to me, and I've actually had conversations with them. So it's been a crazy experience since the start of the mentorship. But I've definitely noticed that I have developed a lot more as an individual.
And tell us a little bit about you. So tell us a little bit about the schooling that you did, some of the degrees that you have, some of your experience that you have, just so the audience can know who is Cameron, because he is a very accomplished guy as well from a scholastic and experience perspective. But I want to hear.
Sure. So my beginning education, I got my bachelor's from FIU, Health Services Administration. Then I shortly went to grad school, did my healthcare MBA, and I'm doing my concentration now in health informatics, so an MS in health informatics. My aspiration is to manage a hospital and be that leader that these hospitals these day and age so desperately need.
You have a master's in business administration in healthcare, correct?
Correct.
And you're getting your informatics.
Correct.
Right. That's incredible. So already you're positioning yourself for both understanding the business world and healthcare informatics, which is the Epics of the world and the Cerners of the world, right? And you have experience as well running organizations. There was an organization that you ran.
So I've actually worked in. I'm fortunate to say I've worked in a few health systems here in South Florida. being under different EHRs and whatnot. But, I've had experience as a front desk. I've had experience in the ED during COVID, HR at some point, and now, most recently with Cleveland Clinic, in the physician clinics, specialty clinics. So I kind of have a grasp on
And you're working your way up. So like,
correct.
Started at front desk, then went to HR, then went
Yep.
to a clinic, and now your goal is you got that MBA, you got your health informatics, and you're now working into the hospital system, slowly but surely on your way up to becoming a CEO of a hospital.
Hopefully one day. But
Yeah.
there's different service lines in a hospital, and it's good to, have a grasp on how they are run, and ultimately when you would get to that position, or if I do get to that position, I would kind of have an understanding of how these departments operate. So that's a key thing.
And what's the best thing that you could do if, let's say, Cameron, you want to get on that track, is you work with someone who's maybe 5 to 10 years older than you, is already on that track, and you ask them, hey, how did you do it? I'm no competition to you. You're already 5, 10 years ahead of the game. Can you help me and tell me so I don't have to make the same mistakes that you maybe made, but I could save them? And you're doing that as well and
Right.
reaching out to different folks to help you. So I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. We're going to try to do these Mentee Friday from here and there, and we'll probably read some more from Mr. Levan's book, from Be My Guest, and other books that we can then take those themes and those life experiences and apply it to some of the things that I do, right, and that you do, and that other people could do, and grow together. So it was awesome having you on the show again.
Thank you.
And I know we're going to have some incredible guests. We're going to have some CEOs of insurance companies and of hospital CEOs, and some really interesting people are lined up in the show, and I look forward to it. So have a great one.
Thank
Nice
you.
to talk to you.
Thank you.